Kindness is often misunderstood in a world that celebrates speed, power, and visible success. Many people believe that kindness is a luxury, something to be practiced only when life is easy, when goals are already achieved and pressure is low. Motivation, on the other hand, is praised loudly. Society teaches us to push harder, move faster, and compete endlessly. We are told that rest is weakness and empathy is distraction. Yet the strongest journeys are built when kindness and motivation walk side by side. This is the story of such a journey. It is not about sudden fame or instant wealth. It is about quiet strength, steady effort, and the courage to remain human while chasing growth. Ayaan grew up in a crowded city where dreams were common but opportunities were limited. His family lived simply, balancing hope with hardship. From a young age, Ayaan learned that nothing would be handed to him. He watched his parents work tirelessly, often sacrificing comfort to keep the household stable. These early experiences shaped him. He understood responsibility before he fully understood ambition. While other children dreamed loudly, Ayaan observed silently, learning how people behaved when life was difficult. School was not easy for him. Resources were limited, and competition was intense. Many students compared themselves constantly, measuring worth through grades and attention. Ayaan felt pressure too, but he noticed something deeper. He saw classmates struggling silently, teachers overwhelmed, and systems stretched thin. Instead of focusing only on his own success, he began helping others whenever he could. Sometimes it was explaining a lesson, sometimes it was listening. These small acts did not make him popular, but they made him reliable. Even then, kindness was shaping his path. As Ayaan entered adulthood, reality became heavier. Dreams met deadlines, passion met responsibility. He found a modest job in a corporate office, grateful but uncertain. Every day, he traveled alongside hundreds of others, all carrying invisible burdens. The workplace was competitive, performance mattered more than people, mistakes were punished, and stress was normalized. Ayaan felt pressure to adapt, to become harder, faster, less emotional. Yet something inside him resisted. He believed that ambition without empathy was empty. At first, his approach went unnoticed. He worked hard, stayed consistent, and treated everyone with respect regardless of position. He helped coworkers without expecting recognition. When conflicts arose, he listened instead of reacting. When deadlines tightened, he stayed calm. These actions did not immediately lead to promotions or praise, but they built trust. Slowly, people began to rely on him. They shared concerns, frustrations, and doubts. Ayaan learned that motivation grows stronger when people feel supported rather than threatened. One year, the company announced a major restructuring. Rumors spread quickly. Fear entered the office like a cold shadow. Conversations became cautious, smiles disappeared, and anxiety filled the air. People focused on survival, protecting themselves from uncertainty. Ayaan felt the same fear, but he chose a different response. He understood that difficult times reveal character. Instead of withdrawing, he became more present. He checked on coworkers, encouraged honest conversations, and reminded people that uncertainty did not define their worth. As pressure increased, mistakes happened more often. Deadlines were missed, tempers flared, and blame became tempting. In an environment where fear could easily dominate, Ayaan practiced patience. He focused on solutions instead of accusations. He reminded his team that mistakes under pressure were human. Slowly, the atmosphere shifted. While anxiety did not disappear, it no longer controlled every interaction. Motivation returned as quiet determination rather than forced enthusiasm. Eventually, layoffs were announced. Some colleagues lost their jobs. Desks were emptied. Goodbyes were painful and silent. Ayaan survived the cuts, but instead of relief, he felt responsibility. He helped those leaving with resumes, references, and encouragement. These actions took time and emotional energy, but he believed that success meant nothing if it disconnected him from humanity. Kindness, he realized, is most powerful when it costs something. Not long after, Ayaan was called into a meeting with senior management. They spoke about his influence during the crisis. They noticed how morale improved around him, how conflict reduced, and how people trusted him naturally. When they offered him a leadership role, Ayaan hesitated. Doubt surfaced immediately. He questioned whether kindness could survive authority, whether empathy would be mistaken for weakness. After reflection, he accepted the opportunity, understanding that growth often feels uncomfortable before it feels right. Leadership challenged Ayaan in ways he had never experienced. Decisions now affected others, pressure increased, and criticism became part of daily life. There were moments when he questioned himself deeply. Yet he remained grounded in his values. He led with transparency, fairness, and empathy. He listened before acting. He explained decisions clearly and admitted mistakes openly. Slowly, trust deepened. Productivity improved not because people were afraid, but because they felt respected. Outside of work, Ayaan volunteered at a community center. There, he met individuals carrying struggles far heavier than his own. Some were young and lost, others older and discouraged by repeated failure. Listening to their stories reminded him why kindness mattered. He mentored young adults, emphasizing discipline, consistency, and self-belief. He told them that motivation was not about feeling inspired every day, but about showing up even when energy was low. Balancing leadership, volunteering, and personal life was exhausting. There were days when Ayaan felt close to burnout. During those moments, he learned an essential lesson: kindness must include oneself. Rest was not laziness. Boundaries were not selfish. Sustainable motivation required balance. He began prioritizing health, reflection, and quiet time. This self-respect strengthened his ability to support others. Years passed. Ayaan's confidence grew, not from applause, but from alignment with his values. He faced failures, criticism, and setbacks, but they no longer shook his foundation. He understood that success was not a destination, but a way of living with integrity. His leadership style began influencing others, creating a ripple effect that extended beyond his immediate environment. Another major change arrived when the company expanded rapidly. New teams joined, cultures collided, and uncertainty returned in a new form. Ayaan recognized the familiar pattern. Change, whether positive or negative, unsettles people. He responded with clarity and compassion. He created spaces for dialogue, encouraged patience, and emphasized shared purpose. Instead of forcing unity, he allowed it to grow naturally. As his responsibilities grew, Ayaan learned the art of letting go. He could no longer control every detail. Trusting others required humility. He focused on developing leaders rather than managing outcomes. He taught empathy as a skill, not a personality trait. Some embraced it quickly, others resisted. Ayaan remained patient, understanding that growth takes time. Beyond work, the impact of his mentoring deepened. Former mentees began helping others. Stories of progress multiplied quietly. One evening, a young man approached Ayaan and shared how a single conversation years earlier had changed his life's direction. Ayaan listened with gratitude and humility. He realized then that kindness creates echoes far beyond what we can measure. Life was not without pain. Loss arrived unexpectedly. Projects failed. Motivation dipped. During these moments, Ayaan returned to the habits that sustained him: reflection, honesty, and compassion toward himself. He no longer feared slowing down. He understood that rest was part of progress, not a pause from it. Recognition eventually arrived, but it felt different from what he once imagined. It was not applause that mattered, but trust. People felt safe around him. Teams felt stronger. Communities felt supported. He had become someone others could grow around. That realization brought quiet fulfillment. Looking back, Ayaan saw that his journey was built on ordinary days and small choices. Kindness guided him when motivation faded. Motivation carried him forward when kindness felt heavy. Together, they formed a compass that kept him aligned even during uncertainty. This story is not only about Ayaan. It is a reminder that every day presents a choice. We can chase progress without compassion, or we can move forward with purpose and heart. True motivation does not demand that we become someone else. It asks that we become more honest versions of ourselves. Kindness, practiced consistently, has the power to transform effort into meaning. In a world obsessed with speed and recognition, quiet consistency still matters. Small acts still create change. When kindness leads and motivation follows, growth becomes sustainable, purpose becomes clear, and ordinary lives begin to leave extraordinary impact.